You're listening to the Bear in Mind podcast, episode number 70.
A podcast uncovering identity, color, and love, where driving yourself crazy is totally sane and curable. Now your host, T. Bias.
It's episode number 70 already. I can't believe it. That means I'm closer to 100. And that's kind of weird to think. I thought even at episode 10, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get to 100. And now it's right around the corner. And so it's 70, which means we're talking about something that I didn't love. And now I love today. And this is kind of a weird one, time, because it isn't something that I technically didn't like. But I would have to say I didn't have a good relationship with time. So I have three reasons why I love time today. And it just might make you think. So the first reason is that time is actually a really good starting point. If you want to have better relationships, earn more money, become healthier, time is a really good place to start. Because a lot of times maybe we have things going on in our lives and I'm like, it seems so much. It seems like, where do you get started? And I often have found that if you start with your time, that the other things that you want can kind of come into place. And the reason is that when you look at where you spend your time, are you spending your time deliberately on the things that you want to spend on? You know, if you are wanting to become healthier or earn more money, are you spending that time to get there? And it'll bring up your relationship with yourself, and in terms of like, do you honor the things that you say you're going to do and honor your commitments, et cetera, like that. So I always think that time, when you start to focus on it, and even if you focus, it's true for a lot of things. Like when you focus on one thing, it kind of exposes maybe other things, but time really can expose a lot of things, your relationships with people and your relationship with yourself, when you start to really decide, I'm going to spend my time this way, and purposely plan your time and then honor those commitments that you plan. So whenever I started my journey with time, I think it was about maybe, I want to say like 8 months ago, where I really started to plan my time at the beginning of the week. And I found that I actually didn't honor a lot of commitments. So I would plan it, but then when something would come up, I'd have a lot of reasons and things like that. And I would get distracted, and I would allow those distractions to kind of take over and not fulfill the things that I had planned for, which was kind of one of those interesting things that came up for me. And so whatever it is that you want, even better relationships or anything like that, I would say start with your time. Start by even just tracking your time. Look at where you spent your whole day 24 hours ago. What did you do exactly? How much time did you go on social media, et cetera, and see where you spent your time, and it'll be quite revealing. The second reason to love time is that time is a human construct. And we tend to forget that. But humans came up with it. We agree on the seconds, the minutes, the hours. And if you notice, we don't really collectively agree on the year. Each culture, religion has a different new year. And so, humans made it up. And we started to measure it and things like that. So when we think about time and the way we go about it, it's something in our head. And then even when we collectively think about it, it's something we collectively decided to be like, okay, this is how we're going to look at time. So before we collectively kind of all did that, there was just our life. There wasn't always time there. There was, at some points, human created the construct of time. And this is really fascinating because when we understand that it is a human construct, that means that any time problem that we have, whether we feel like we have too much to do or we're super busy or anything that you can think of where time is your problem, like you feel like you're behind or any of those kind of things, is that we can then solve for it because we created it. We created this idea of time. We created the problems of time in our head too, and then we can actually figure it out. And when I kind of looked at it like that, I thought that that was kind of fascinating, that any sort of quote unquote time problem that you have, because humans created it, you can solve for it. You have the wisdom within you to find out the right solution. And the episode prior to this one, 69, where I talk about solving for I have so much to do, I also have a couple common time problems coming up where I'm going to talk about how to solve for them in the upcoming episodes. So you'll be able to see that all of the problems that we've kind of created, there are solutions out there to solve for them. And that's really good news, I think. So before moving on to the third reason, I'm going to recap the first two. So one is that time is always a great starting point. So whatever you want in your life, start with your time. And two is that humans created time. So any sort of time problem you have the wisdom to solve for it. Now, the third one is one of those ones that I would have to say has really impacted me the greatest. And I actually got it from somebody on Instagram. I was following her and she posted about her mother. So before I get to the story is that I'm going to actually talk about how we measure our time on this planet. We measure it in age, in the number of years we have been on this planet. And so we tend to look at age in this way, especially in the beginning when we're a kid. We tend to look forward to each year getting older. And we look forward to our birthday parties and et cetera like that. And then at a certain point, and this is, I think, maybe sort of different depending on how you've been influenced a little bit on your age, but a lot of times people don't look forward to getting older than, I don't know, probably after the age of 25 or something. They don't want to be 30, and then they don't want to be 40, and they don't want to be 50, et cetera. And then we don't really want to talk about our age sometimes if we're getting older, and we don't want to celebrate it as much and things like that. And so then I'm kind of in those years where I really am like, I don't know. I don't really want to tell people, share my age and things like that. So when I read this woman's post and she had said that it was her birthday and she was turning the same age as her mom when her mom passed away. And she was super excited about her birthday and she celebrates it. And she said that she looked forward to every year that she grew older because her mom didn't have that chance. And I thought, oh, wow. I had never thought of the fact that each year was this privilege that I had. I mean, I never consciously thought about it. And I was more in the, okay, each year I'm getting older and what haven't I accomplished that was kind of maybe my mindset around it. And she wrote it so beautifully, and she wasn't trying to make anybody feel bad. She was very celebratory of her own birthday, and it got me thinking about how that is an opportunity to love time, your own age, and that it's this gift to you. And it's so funny because I'm studying French, and in the French language, when you go to say how old you are, you use the verb to have instead of in the English language we use to be a certain number of years. I am X number of years. And in French, it's I have a number of years. And I thought that was so beautiful that you're able to say, I have these years, as if it's like a gift to you, and you have these number of years that have been given to you. And I really started to appreciate that. And I had read this within this last year. I'd read this, and I thought for my next birthday, I'm definitely going to have a more of, yay, I'm growing a year older. That's so wonderful. Because how often after probably the age of 25, we're like, yes, I'm growing older. And and things like that. I know very few people are like that. A lot of people that I know are like, oh yeah, it's another year. Instead of like, yes, it's another year. I have another year. And that is so beautiful. And those are my 3 reasons for loving time. And I want to thank you for spending your time on this podcast today. And I'll check back with you next week.
Thanks for listening. Listen for a new episode next Tuesday by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Bye for now.